So, Josh Malin, end of quite a difficult race day here at Donington, but it's been productive. You know the pace is there, so difficult one to take, but you can take positives from it, can't you?
Absolutely, we definitely had the pace in race one, having very tricky conditions to contend with. They were very changeable. It started raining sort of halfway through on an already wet, greasy track, so it was hard to read the conditions. Spinning 3 times but still finishing 4th is actually all right. But obviously at the time I was pretty annoyed at myself for those mistakes that I made, but also the fact that James Kellett won that race. It could have been a Roslin Gold by Century Motorsport P1, P2. So that was a race that what could have been, and it was the same story in race 2. Having obviously being drawn out for reverse grid pole and then being the first one to come across the corner and the conditions, it's very hard to read. I didn't see any fluid that was down at the first Melbourne hairpin, and just hit the brakes and again just locked straight up. So very frustrating, but to come back from P7 through to P4, getting the fastest lap along the way as well, I guess there are a few positives to take from it. Yeah,
very much so. It's very tricky in these conditions, especially driving these kind of cars that have got so much power. I imagine that's a bit of a challenge.
Absolutely, they can be a handful, especially in the wet and even in the dry at the best of times, because the pressures on the rear, especially the rear left around here, because most of them are right-hand turns. The rear left, like the pressure goes through the roof, and it's very much on a knife edge. And when you hit the curbs in the wet, with obviously on the wet tyres, the curbs they've been painted, they're so slippy and so easy to lock up, but also to spin them up. And that's where I did a 360 coming out of the final the old hairpin on the final lap. So yeah, tricky but good fun and very rewarding when you get it right, and clearly I just didn't get it right very much this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, even more so rewarding, you're now a BRDC Rising Star. So congratulations. That sort of thing is a big confidence booster, help with you and sponsors and all that sort of thing as well.
That is ultimately the thought process behind it, and I'm very lucky to have been selected as one of the 40 Rising Stars by the BRDC. Hopefully it's an extra carrot that we can dangle to future sponsors, but as I'm sure you can imagine, finding sponsors in this sort of day and age is very tough, especially for myself. I feel like I've been pulling my hair out over these past few weeks just to try and find that last bit of budget that we so desperately need. So it's a double-edged sword, but hopefully this can make that double-edged sword a little bit blunter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, see you soon, and great to have you on the grid.
Thank you very much.